I was 17 when I learned that some sounds aren't meant to be explained away. My parents had left for a wedding in another state, and I convinced them I was responsible enough to stay home for the weekend. Friday night went fine: pizza, video games, the usual. But Saturday, around 2 a.m., I woke to a sound that made my skin crawl. Breathing. Not mine, coming from my closet. I lay frozen, telling myself it was the house settling, the heater, anything rational. But houses don't exhale in steady, rhythmic patterns. Houses don't occasionally shift their weight on creaking floorboards. I grabbed my phone, hand shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. The light from the screen felt pathetic against the darkness. The breathing continued, unhurried and patient. That's when I remembered I'd left my closet door open. I always closed it before bed. My mind raced through possibilities. An animal? We were in the suburbs? A raccoon couldn't open doors, couldn't breathe like that, too heavy, too deliberate. I wanted to call the police, but what would I say? There's breathing in my room? They'd think I was crazy or pranking them. The breathing stopped. The silence was somehow worse. I counted seconds, then minutes. Nothing. Relief started creeping in, followed by embarrassment. I'd been scared of nothing, probably just dreaming, or my desk chair creaked. Someone was sitting in it now. In my dark room, I could see the silhouette barely visible against my window. Broad shoulders. A head turned toward my bed. I ran. I don't remember grabbing my keys or shoes. Muscle memory took over. I was in my car, engine roaring to life, before my conscious mind caught up. I drove to a 24-hour diner and called the police from the parking lot. 2 officers met me at the house an hour later. They searched every room, every closet, the attic, the basement, nothing. No signs of forced entry. No evidence anyone had been there. One officer, older with kind eyes, asked if I'd been drinking or using drugs. I hadn't. He suggested stress, imagination, a nightmare I'd confused with reality. The younger cop looked less convinced but stayed quiet. They left. I didn't go back inside. I sat in my car until my parents came home Sunday evening. My dad was angry about the police call, about the dramatics. My mom was worried but ultimately sided with the officer's assessment. Teenage imagination, stress from being alone. I never told them what I found Monday morning, when I finally worked up the courage to enter my room in daylight. My closet door was closed. Inside, my clothes had been pushed aside. In the empty space on the floor sat a folding camping chair, the one from our garage. Someone had been sitting in my closet, comfortable, patient, watching me sleep. But here's the part that still keeps me up at night. In the chair's seat was a water bottle, still cold, condensation beading on the plastic, and a half-eaten sandwich from the fridge, the one I'd made for lunch on Saturday. Whoever had been in my house hadn't just hidden in my closet. They'd made themselves at home. They'd gone to the kitchen while I slept, helped themselves to food and drinks, then returned to watch me. The police took it more seriously this time. Dusted for prints, found none. The sandwich had been handled with gloves or cloth. Same with the water bottle and chair. Whoever it was knew what they were doing. We installed a security system. I moved to a different bedroom. My parents never left me alone again until I moved out for college. But sometimes, late at night in my apartment, I'll wake up with that same feeling of being watched. I'll check the closet, always closed, always empty. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, that it was years ago, a one-time thing. Then I remember the police estimated, based on the evidence, that whoever was in my closet had been there for hours. They'd likely been in the house since Friday, hiding, moving through the rooms while I watched TV and played games. How long had they been watching before that Saturday night? How many times had I walked past them, unaware, as they pressed themselves into shadows or behind furniture? I don't sleep well anymore, and I never, ever leave closet doors open. The first time I saw her, I thought she was my reflection. I was 19, house-sitting for my aunt while she traveled for work. A nice 2-story place in a quiet neighborhood, and I'd been looking forward to the week of solitude. I was making tea in the kitchen when I caught movement in the darkened living room. just a glimpse of someone in the doorway. I froze. So did she. We stared at each other for maybe 3 seconds before I realized the angles were wrong for a reflection. The doorway where she stood had no mirror. My scream caught in my throat as she stepped backward into the darkness and vanished. I searched the entire house with a knife in one hand and my phone in the other. Every room, every closet, under every bed, nothing, all doors and windows locked from the inside. I convinced myself it was fatigue, the stress of midterms, my eyes playing tricks. The next morning, I found wet footprints leading from the basement door to the living room, then back again. My aunt didn't have a basement. I called her, trying to keep my voice steady. She laughed, an uncertain sound, and said yes, there was a basement, but it had been sealed off years ago after flooding. The door was painted shut, hadn't been opened in a decade. I went to check. The door was in the hallway, disguised as a wall panel. And it was slightly ajar? The paint seal was broken, flakes scattered on the floor. Fresh scratches marred the doorframe. I slammed it shut and pushed a heavy bookshelf in front of it. Then I called a friend to stay with me. When he arrived, I showed him the door. The scratches were still there, but the paint seal looked intact. He thought I'd imagined the whole thing. That night, we both heard it. Footsteps in the basement, slow, deliberate walking, the length of the space beneath us, then stopping just below the living room where we sat. We stared at each other, his skepticism evaporating. Then came the knocking. Not on a door, from directly beneath our feet. 3 measured knocks, a pause, then 3 more. Over and over. My friend called the police while I stood frozen, listening to that methodical rhythm. The police came quickly this time. They moved the bookshelf, opened the basement door, and went down with flashlights. I heard their radios crackle, heard them calling to each other. They were down there for 20 minutes. When they emerged, both officers looked shaken. The basement was finished walls, carpet, even furniture, a fold-out cot with a sleeping bag, empty food containers in the corner, a camping lantern, and on the wall, dozens of photographs of my aunt and of me. Pictures taken through windows over the past week. Me sleeping on the couch, me in the kitchen, me walking from room to room, all shot from outside, zoomed in through the glass. But that wasn't the worst part. The basement had a second entrance, a hidden crawl space that opened into the backyard. The lock on it was broken. And next to the cot was a notebook filled with schedules, my aunt's work hours, her travel dates when the house would be empty. Someone had been living in that sealed basement for weeks, maybe months, coming and going through the outside entrance, watching, waiting. They never found her. No DNA, no prints, she'd been careful. But police discovered she'd done this before. 3 other houses in neighboring towns, all single women living alone, all with basements or crawl spaces the owners rarely checked. She'd watch their routines, live beneath them, occasionally venture upstairs when they were gone or asleep. Once she'd learned their patterns completely, she'd disappear and move on to the next house. They think she left because I saw her, because her system was broken. My aunt sold the house. I still can't be in a room without checking every vent, every crawl space, every sealed door, because the police told me something that haunts me more than anything else. Based on the food containers and sleeping arrangements, they estimated she'd been in that basement for at least 6 weeks before I arrived. My aunt had been living her normal life with a stranger sleeping beneath her floor, eating above someone who watched her through ceiling cracks, showering, changing, sleeping all while being observed. And she never knew. How many houses still have basements like that? How many sealed doors that aren't quite as sealed as their owners think? How do you sleep knowing the sounds you dismiss, as old houses settling might be, something else entirely? My grandfather died on a Tuesday. The call came Thursday asking if I'd stay at his house until the estate was settled. I was the only family member in the state, and someone needed to keep an eye on the place. I'd barely known him. My mom had been estranged from him for years, due to what she'd only call his paranoia. I expected an eccentric old man's house, Maybe some weird collections or conspiracy theory walls? What I found was a fortress. Every window had bars. Every door had multiple locks. The basement door was padlocked from the outside. There were deadbolts on the bedroom doors on the inside and outside. Security cameras covered every angle of the property, though they were old and probably didn't work. In the kitchen, I found his note, written in shaky handwriting. Check the cameras every night. All of them. Do not assume you're alone. Never sleep on the first floor. I laughed nervously and crumpled it up. Old man paranoia, just like Mom said. The first night was uneventful. I slept in his upstairs bedroom, woke up fine. The second night, I decided to humor him and check the camera system. It took me an hour to figure out the ancient setup, but I finally got the feeds running on his old computer. Most cameras showed nothing. Trees swaying, empty yard, dark driveway. Then I saw the basement feed. Someone was down there. A man standing perfectly still in the corner, facing the camera. Just standing there in the darkness, illuminated only by the camera's night vision. I grabbed my phone to call 911, hands shaking so badly I could barely dial. But as I looked back at the screen, he was gone. The basement was empty. I stayed on the line anyway. Told the operator everything. They sent someone out, but I wouldn't go downstairs to unlock the basement. The officer had to break the padlock. Empty, completely empty. Concrete floor, stone walls, nothing else. No way out except through the door we just opened. The officer looked at me with poorly concealed irritation and suggested the old camera system might be glitching. After he left, I went back to the computer. I rewound the footage. The man appeared at 11:47 p.m., didn't walk into. Frame just suddenly there, standing in the corner. At 12:03 a.m., right before I looked back at the screen, he turned and walked straight through the wall. Through it. Like it wasn't there. I should have left. I should have walked out and never come back. But something made me keep watching. I rewound further, checking previous days. He'd been there every night. Every single night for weeks before my grandfather died. Same corner. Same position. Standing there for hours, then disappearing through the wall. I found my grandfather's journals in his bedroom desk. Page after page of dates and times, observations, measurements. He'd been documenting the man in the basement for 3 years. The entries started normal enough. Saw someone in basement on camera. Police found nothing. Then they got stranger. He appears at the same time each night. Never moves except to leave. Same clothes, same position. Doesn't breathe that I can tell. The final entry was dated the day before he died. I think I know what he's waiting for. The pattern changed tonight. He looked up. He smiled. It's almost time. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the bedroom with the computer, watching the basement feed. At 11:47 p.m., he appeared again. But this time, he didn't stand in the corner. He stood at the bottom of the basement stairs, looking up at the door, at me. His mouth moved. I couldn't hear anything. The cameras had no audio, but I could read his lips. The same word over and over. Soon. Then he raised his hand and pointed up directly at the camera. Directly at me. I ran. I was in my car when I remembered my phone was still inside, charging in the kitchen. I couldn't go back. I drove to a hotel and called the estate lawyer from the lobby phone, told them I was done, they could hire someone else to watch the house. The lawyer called back the next morning. They'd sent someone to secure the property and found the basement door open. Not unlocked open. Padlock still intact, still locked, but the door standing wide open despite that physical impossibility. And on the basement floor, written in what looked like ash or dirt, a single date? My birthday. They sealed the house after that. Condemned it, actually. Some structural issue they wouldn't specify. The estate sold it to a demolition company for pennies on the dollar. I got a box of my grandfather's things, mostly junk, but there was one more journal I'd missed. A thin one, hidden in a false bottom of his desk drawer. Inside was a single entry dated 30 years ago. The man in the basement first appeared the night my daughter was born. He's been waiting ever since. I thought if I watched him, I could protect her. I was wrong. He's not waiting for me. My mom's birthday. The night he appeared. My birthday. Written on the basement floor. The house was demolished last month. I watched from my car as the walls came down. When they broke into the basement, the workers stopped. They stood at the edge, staring down. One crossed himself. I asked the foreman what they found. He wouldn't say, just shook his head and ordered his crew to fill it with concrete instead of clearing it out. That was 3 weeks ago. Last night, I woke up at 11:47 p.m. I don't know why I checked the time. I just did and felt compelled to look out my apartment window. Across the street, in the shadows between streetlights, someone was standing, perfectly still, facing my building. When I turned on my porch light to see better, he was gone. But I know what my grandfather knew. Some things don't need houses to haunt. Some things just need time and patience. I was 16 when my parents left me home, alone for their anniversary trip to the coast. 4 days, 3 nights. I'd been begging for this kind of independence for months. The first 2 days were perfect. I had friends over, ordered takeout, stayed up until dawn playing games. By day 3, everyone had gone home, and I was enjoying the silence of having the whole house to myself. That's when I found the phone. It was sitting on our front porch when I went to grab a food delivery Monday evening. An iPhone in a pink glitter case, fully charged, no lock screen. I figured someone dropped it, maybe the delivery driver. I brought it inside planning to find the owner. The phone had one app on the home screen. Just one, a game called Hide and Seek. I opened it out of curiosity. The interface was simple, a black screen with green text that read "Found you," followed by an address, my address. Then, your turn to hide. I'll count to 100. A countdown appeared. 100, 99, 98. I laughed nervously and closed the app, but it immediately reopened. The countdown continued. 97, 96, 95. This had to be some kind of alternate reality game or geocaching thing, probably meant for the previous owner. I tried to close it again, tried to delete the app, but nothing worked. The countdown kept going. At 0, the screen went black. The new text appeared, "Ready or not, here I come." The phone buzzed with a notification. A photo, taken from outside my house, showing my living room window. Me visible inside, holding the phone. I dropped it like it had burned me. My rational brain said this was a prank, maybe one of my friends messing with me. But none of them knew I'd found a phone. And that photo had been taken seconds ago. I grabbed the phone and ran to the window. The street was empty. No cars, no people, just the orange glow of streetlights and shadows. Another photo came through. Closer this time. My front door from the porch. The angle suggested whoever took it was standing exactly where I'd found the phone. My hands shook as I locked the front door, checked the back door, made sure every window was secured. I called my best friend Tyler, but it went to voicemail. I tried my parents straight to voicemail. Probably no signal at their coastal resort. The phone buzzed again. Not a photo this time. A message, "You're supposed to hide." Then, "This is more fun when you play along." I should have called the police. Instead, some stupid part of my brain decided to respond. I typed, "Who are you?" The reply was instant, "I'm it." "You're hiding. Those are the rules." "I'm not playing your game," I typed back. "You picked up my phone." Game started. Only one way to end it. "How?" "I find you." Game over. My stomach dropped. I ran upstairs to my parents' room. It had the best lock and faced the backyard. I barricaded myself inside and finally called 911. The dispatcher was patient but clearly skeptical. Someone was sending me messages, yes, but had I actually seen anyone? Had there been any direct threats? I tried to explain about the photos, the game, but hearing myself say it out loud made it sound ridiculous. She said she'd send an officer to check the property. While I waited, the phone buzzed continuously. Photo after photo, each one closer than the last. my mailbox, my driveway, my front steps, the doorknob, someone's hand reaching for it. The photos had timestamps. They were real time. Then came a video. Night vision footage of someone walking through my house. My house? Downstairs, moving through the living room? I'd been sitting in 20 minutes ago. The video showed them approaching the stairs, starting to climb. The phone speaker suddenly activated on its own. I could hear it, footsteps on my stairs. Not from the phone, from outside the bedroom door. Real footsteps. In my house. I pushed the dresser against the door and climbed into my parents' closet, phone clutched in my shaking hands. I texted 911 dispatch. Someone is inside my house. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs, slow, methodical, moving down the hallway. They stopped outside the bedroom door. The doorknob rattled, once, twice, then silence. A new message appeared on the phone. Good hiding spot. But I can wait. I sat in that closet for 45 minutes before I heard voices downstairs. The police? I screamed until they found me. 2 officers searched the entire house. Every room, every closet, the attic, the garage, nothing, no signs of forced entry. No evidence anyone had been inside. But I had the photos. I showed them everything, the messages, the pictures, the video of someone walking through my house. The younger officer's face went pale when he saw the video. He recognized something. He asked to see the phone, then called his partner over. They knew this game. Apparently there'd been similar incidents in 3 neighboring towns over the past 2 months. Different kids, always home alone, always finding a mysterious phone. The game would start, escalating messages and photos, but police never found evidence of an intruder. They'd written it off as a sophisticated prank, probably someone hacking phones remotely, using Google Street View and social media to fake the photos. Until 2 weeks ago, a girl in the next county had found a phone. Same game. She played along out of fear, hid in her basement. When police arrived, they found her door open and the phone on her kitchen counter, still playing a video. Footage of her hiding in the basement, filmed from inside the basement with her. She was fine, whoever it was had left before police arrived, but she confirmed someone had been in the house with her. She'd heard them breathing in the darkness, felt them walk past her hiding spot. The officers took the phone as evidence and insisted I stay somewhere else until my parents returned. I went to Tyler's house, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't over. Then my phone, my actual phone, not the one I'd found, received a photo. Tyler's house. Taken from outside his bedroom window. We called the police again. They came, found nothing again, but this time they stationed an officer outside. The messages stopped. No more photos, nothing. My parents came home early. We filed reports, talked to detectives, handed over both phones. The detective told us they were dealing with someone highly skilled. All the messages were routed through VPNs and encrypted networks, impossible to trace. But here's what keeps me awake. They analyzed the metadata on those photos. The ones supposedly taken from outside my house, showing me through windows. They weren't taken from outside. The angles, the focal lengths, the perspective all indicated they were taken from inside my house, from different rooms. While I was home alone, someone had been inside with me the entire time, moving from room to room, staying just out of sight, taking photos, sending messages, playing. And that video of someone walking through my downstairs? Forensic analysis showed it was filmed on the phone I'd found, but not that night. It had been filmed 3 days earlier, while my friends were over, while we were all upstairs playing games and eating pizza. Someone had been walking through my house in the darkness below us, filming, waiting. The detective asked if I'd noticed anything missing from the house. At first I said no. Then I remembered my spare house key, the one we kept in a kitchen drawer. It was gone. They changed our locks. We installed a security system. I moved out for college as soon as I could. But sometimes I still get messages from unknown numbers. Usually just one word, found you. And every time I check my windows, because the last thing the detective told me was the worst part. They'd investigated similar cases going back 18 months. Same game, same pattern. Different towns, different victims. The girl who'd been found in her basement? After that incident, the messages stopped for everyone. For 6 weeks. Then they started again in a new town with a new phone with someone new. The pattern suggested the person playing this game would escalate, then go quiet, then start over somewhere else. It had been 6 weeks since my incident when the detective called with an update. A kid in a town 40 miles away had just called 911. He'd found a phone on his porch. Pink glitter case. One app installed. The game was starting again, and the detective had one question that still haunts me. Why did they stop playing with you? Usually they don't stop until they finish, until they find you. I didn't have an answer. I still don't. But sometimes late at night I wonder if maybe they did find me. If maybe the game isn't actually over. If maybe I'm still hiding and just don't know it yet.